Hi, in this video I'm going to create two shaders, one for hair and one for fur. The first shader I want to create is a fur shader. I created this fur in the previous tutorial, which you can watch here. The second shader is a woman's hair. The fur currently uses the body material, but I want to create a separate shader for it. First, let's jump into the material section. Press the plus button to add a new shader. I already have one. In the hair and particles section, I can assign it to the material. It's completely black. On the left hand side, the shader is visible. You can switch to the shader view using this. Using the slot section, you can switch between all the shaders related to this object. I only have an output node right now. We need to start with an appropriate shader node. You can use any type of shaders. Each shader represents specific attributes suitable for different types of hair. For this fur, I'll use the principled BSDF. For the human hair, I'll use a different shader. I want to create an effect where the bottom of the fur is darker than the upper part. Let's start with a gradient texture. Press Shift and A and search for this node. Now I need to coordinate node. Press Ctrl T to add one. If it's not working for you, go to Edit and Preferences. And in the extensions, search for Node Wrangler and activate it. Select the gradient node and then press Ctrl Shift and left click on it to preview it. Each output represents specific coordinates for the texture. Generated doesn't work for me. Let's try using object coordinates. Now let's adjust the rotation and position values. As you can see, the dark area is changing. I just need to adjust each value to achieve the best result. Now I should adjust the position. Alright, let's change the gradient to quadratic for a smoother effect. Good, now I can achieve two different colors for this gradient. The hair is not affected too much. I can create a separate shader for it later. Let's add a math node to control the intensity of the gradient texture. Then select multiply for it. And let's choose an appropriate value. And finally, a contrast node can be very helpful to adjust the gradient contrast. Okay, let's connect it to the shader and see what happens. The result is what I wanted. Now I should customize the colors. Let's add a mix RGB node, or you can use a color ramp as well. Press Ctrl and right click to cut the connection. Then connect the contrast node to the factor input. Now I need to choose colors. Color A will apply to the dark areas and color B will apply to the white areas. The quality is not good since I'm in preview mode. I will connect it to the shader. Now press Ctrl Shift and left click on the shader to connect it to the output. I think the result is good. Even a slight effect is applied to the hair. You can utilize the shader's benefits by using a small roughness value to create wet areas on the hair. It might not be very obvious due to the hair's shape and waves. But you can observe changes by continuously adjusting the roughness. In some cases, you can add a subsurface effect which allows light to transmit through the hair, creating a beautiful effect. Let's set the weight to 1. And let's also increase the radius value. And finally, let's increase the scale value. You can see the effect. It's not appropriate for this type of hair, but it definitely works well on blonde and thin hairs. You can watch the full tutorial on subsurface here. The specular section can define how much light will be spread on the surface. By modifying the IR value, you can observe that a larger value results in more spread out light. For me, a proper value is a small number. Finally, I can add a noise texture to introduce more random values to the hair. Press Shift, Ctrl and left click on it to preview the node. And then I need to connect the object coordinate to the noise. Let's adjust the noise to create fine details. Just adjust the noise values. Okay, now add a contrast node. It's essential for adjusting the black and white areas. Let's increase the contrast slightly. Now I need to combine it with the gradient. The gradient has a white value and I want to add the noise to that white area. Let's add a math node. And then select multiply. I can use other methods to combine them, but I prefer this one. To see the preview, press Ctrl Shift and left click. Let's connect it to the mix color, then activate the final shader. As you can see, the fur has some noise. This is the final fur shader. Now let's create another shader. Here I have a woman model and hair without any specific node. I've set up the materials similar to the fur. Now let's add a glossy BSDF shader. The glossy BSDF shader is simpler than the principal shader and is useful for creating shiny surface. To add color, I'll use a color ramp node. You can also use mix color or any other color node. A color ramp node provides a color gradient. Let's choose a color for color A. Okay, that's fine. I can either choose a color for color B or add colors using the plus button. I need a slight amount of roughness. The hair surface should appear shiny. Okay, good. You can adjust the reflection method. It will make a subtle difference. You can also adjust the anisotropy and rotation. They affect the length and orientation of the reflection. Let's try different colors. Alright, you can create more complex shaders and add additional details to them. And you can share the methods you are using in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or ideas, feel free to share them in the comments.